decision. Let's have a round of applause for these two bantamweight warriors. After completing the scheduled 10 championship rounds, here are the judges' score totals. Bert Clement scores about 95-95, scoring about even. Kermit Bayless scores about 97-93. And Tim Cheatham scores about 96-94 to the winner by majority decision. From St. Louis, Missouri, and WBA NABA Bantamweight Champion, Stefan Showstopper!
Brock Lesnar, and you're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Yo, hi, this is Sugar Ray Leonard, and you listen to Fight Net Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to listen to Fight Net Radio.
Lee Harvey Oswald, what's your name? How am I supposed to know you?
This is Frank Shamrock. You're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Hi, this is Nia, the Knockout St. John. You're listening to Fight Net Radio, and there's no way I would ever touch Lee.
This is Chuck Jackson.
I am Stephen Bonner, and you're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Dan Henderson, you're listening to Fight Net Radio.
Everybody, welcome to Fight Net Radio, where Lee's burning every bridge there is out there. All right.
Hi, this is Manny Pacquiao. I'll fight anybody on FightNetRadio.com.
Hey, I'm the king of the world! Hold it. You're not that crazy. I'm a bad man! Wait. I took up the world!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fight Net Radio. I'm joined by Andrew Lapachet. We're recording on Saturday night because we have a big football Sunday. Andrew's team now 2-1, right, Andrew?
Yes, sir.
2-1. And big game next week. Chargers are 1-2, playing New Orleans at home. For those of you keeping up, Andrew sucks at fantasy football. I am lucky at fantasy football, and you're listening to a boxing show. Yeah, figure all that out. Today we are talking about. Wait, I'm even going to grab my little bout sheet. I'm going to start off.
We're talking about everything but boxing, Lee.
We are, but I'm going to start off the show by talking about Knockout Night at the D. So you probably read the title of this episode and you're listening because it says, the title of the episode says, win a Roy Jones Jr. t-shirt. In my possession, I now have 3 Roy Jones Jr. boxing as the promoter, autographed t-shirts for our fans. Brought to you by, believe it or not, Andrew, Fight Net Radio and Roy Jones Jr. Boxing and Roy Jones Jr.
Nice.
As if they were all separate entities. I actually physically purchased the shirts, even though they offered them to me. I bought them. I waited patiently and got Roy to sign them at the end of the evening. I could have done the selfie, but that's the, you know that really uncool move of you were just super cool and did this for the fans.
Yes, sir.
You don't want to do the selfie at that moment. I was going to do the selfie, but I didn't do the selfie. I didn't even ask for a photo with Roy. It just seems not cool. Does that make sense?
No, totally hear you. Act like you've been there before, Lee.
Right. Wait patiently, let Roy meet with all the fans, get him to sign the shirts, and he signed them nice and big with a big, thick Sharpie. And I did it for all of you, for the 5 listening fans that we have. So 3 of your family members, are going to get themselves Roy Jones Jr. t-shirts. So I'm directly saying this to all of you. And actually, I'm trying to get up my Twitter account. I don't want to.
My family just won something.
I don't want to.
You want to know?
Yeah, go for it.
Christina was driving home the other day in traffic. Won Disneyland tickets.
She won Disneyland tickets. When are you guys coming down?
I don't know.
No. So I don't like to out the people who listen to this show unless they say it's okay that they listen to this show. So for those of you that listen to the show and think that this is like a dirty pleasure, like, I don't know, smoking grass or doing blow, which pretty much listening to this show is the boxing equivalent of doing drugs on the side. That's my opinion.
I usually do that right before the show.
There you go. Nice out. Nice
I'm
out.
just kidding.
That's great. I was approached on Facebook by a fairly known boxing writer. I was actually pretty surprised by this, and I could safely say that he has worked for Sweet Science, Ring TV, Ring Magazine, and his exact quote was, "Big fan."
Nice. There you go.
And I wrote him back and I said, all right, well, you've identified it. And so the rules of the game are when we're in Vegas, let's hook up and I'll buy you a drink. You, me, and Andrew, and I'll buy drinks. And if he wants to say, I've asked him to come on. So after he comes on, certainly if you follow Twitter, you'll be able to see who these boxing writers are that I communicate with. Gabe Montoya and I are currently in the middle of the debate of trying to find better terminology for Hillary Clinton that is better than criminal. I've come up with the word questionable activities, which he finds acceptable. There is no word better for Donald other than lunatic. So I'm just disappointed with the American people. There's my political for the day. So I'm just saying all that I know that there are those of you who listen to the show. So if you're a boxing writer, you can't win the shirt. I'm sorry. You have the opportunity to go to Knockout Night at the D, buy a T-shirt, wait till Roy's done meeting with all the fans, and go up with a Sharpie and get a T-shirt. You can go do it. He signs pretty much everybody's stuff while he's at the event. The big deal about Knockout Night at the D, so it was a good event, and it was a good event on accident. Is that weird? Have you ever heard that? It was a good event on accident. And I'm gonna.
That's. What do you mean? Some fights pulled out to be good ones that you thought were going to be just showcases?
No, I'll tell you exactly. Okay, so for those of you who actually watched it, go find it on CBS-SN. The first fight, John Vera versus Miko Zizic. That's a squash match with a middleweight fighting a welterweight, which is pretty ridiculous, all right? John Vera is like a whole human being larger than Miko Zizic. It's a squash match. And from what I could tell ringside, the way it looked around ringside, all the money seems to be invested in John the Phenom Vera. Now, I'm going to be talking about the politics of boxing for this particular little segment of the show, Andrew. I know it's rare where we just bust in and talk boxing, but I'm talking about Knockout Night at the D, sponsored by Roy Jones Jr., the D Hotel, and probably, they're in with one of the boxing manufacturers, but they don't pay my bills, so I don't have to know anything other than Roy Jones Jr. Boxing and the D Hotel. Follow Derek J. Stevens on Facebook and follow the D Hotel. One of my favorite hotels in downtown Las Vegas. The D, not sponsoring Fight Net Radio, but I do like their hotel. All right. Here's where it gets interesting, right? So they go on with this WBA, NABA, USA, PDQRST welterweight championship between a middleweight and a welterweight. And, of course, the middleweight, who's 14-0, won. No shocker, right?
Right.
That was completely expected. And so the next fight up on the card was Tony Lopez versus Stephen Young. That's the fight that I hooked up with you and told you, you should watch this.
Yeah,
These
Tony,
guys are
that was a good one.
The crap out of each other.
Yep.
And they did. You came in around 4 or 5 rounds into this, and I had already watched 4 rounds of pounding on each other. And so Tony Lopez and Stephen Young was pretty much a pick'em. One referee had it at a straight draw. By the way, I agree to the straight draw. Then by majority decision, Stephen Showstopper Young wins. Everybody ringside that I was surrounded by and most of the fans, okay, at least half the fans thought Tony Lopez won that fight.
He ended strong, and sometimes people only remember what they seen last. That doesn't mean he won the fight.
I thought he started strong too. I thought he carried more of the fight, but I watched the whole round.
Well, I thought Tony Lopez won the fight, but I'm just telling you why sometimes people they think a guy won when really he could have lost the fight on the scorecards early in the first 7 or 8 rounds. But no, I like both guys, but Lopez's hand speed, his combinations, he's gonna have some good fights here in the future.
He's the real deal. The kid was the real deal.
Yeah, they both were. They both were.
My comment at ringside was, I think there's a lot of money invested in Steven Showtime Young. Now, the reason I say that, no, I didn't see anybody walking around, and I was sitting like two. If you guys go back and watch.
What was their records, Lee? Do you have their records?
Yeah, I sure do. Tony Lopez is 11-1 with 4 KOs, and
so he's 11-2 now.
He's 11-2. Yeah. Steven Young, he's 14-0 with 6 KOs. He's the guy that he's the guy that has the guys behind him.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, Tony Lopez has got guys behind him because there were a couple of people who looked really shocked ringside. I don't know if you carried over to the main event where the biggest upset of the evening occurred.
No, I fell asleep, Lee. What happened?
Mark Paul. So this guy by the name of Hansel Rudy Boy Martinez, 23-2, 19 knockouts. They was up against originally somebody else this week. Let me tell the backstory. He was going to fight somebody else. And about a Monday of this week, I got a press release saying that the guy that he was fighting from Colombia couldn't make the fight. They're fighting for the WBA International Super Bantamweight Championship, which for those of you who don't understand, that just makes you probably second or third in line to really get into the WBA rankings. So this is an important fight if you really want to get a shot at the WBA title. Got it. So the guy that he was going to fight couldn't get a visa last Friday. So on Monday, he gets pulled from the card. They stick in a kid out of Robert Garcia's gym in Oxnard by the name of Eric El Trumpo Ruiz, who is the former NABA, NABF title challenger. He's 15-5 and working very hard on being sort of a career journeyman. All right, you following me on those?
Yeah. And it was actually the record that turned me off. You're right. Yeah, he was 16-5. Yeah, I remember that.
It gets better, Andrew. Hansel Rudy Boy Martinez is the real deal out of TJ, and he's a banger. So I'm sitting there ringside. It's 8:30. I'm already planning to go cover Tough Enough in Henderson. Okay,
I already fell asleep. You're telling me it was 8:30 when I went out last
night? Yeah, you lost that at 8:38. At 8:38, you gave up. I'm telling you, the first two fights were done by about 8:30. All right.
My bad.
First fight was 1 or 2 rounds. The second fight went the distance, but it was fast. But at about 8:30, I think the fight went off just about 9 o'clock. Okay, 9 o'clock. It's about 8:45-ish, somewhere in that range. And I'm telling you, legitimately, I'm looking at concerts. I'm looking at shit I'm going to do after the fight. So this fight starts. And Hansel's working the dude. Like, clearly his corner did no prep on the kid, and they don't know anything about him. And Robert just basically sent him out with 3 buddies. Like, they had street clothes on. They didn't have matching clothes. They didn't even have Garcia gym wear on. Like, it was just literally some dude they picked up off the street on Monday who said, yeah, I'm in shape. I'll take the fight. And so I literally sat there ringside, and I looked around and go, this is 2 rounds. This is 2 rounds, and this is silly. And I'm starting to pack up my gear because I couldn't get on the internet, and you had already passed out, and I realized I couldn't actually, record anything ringside. Although I do had audio at the top of the show. What you heard was the decision for Steven Young getting the win over Tony Lopez and the craziness. That I did record for all of you, so I hope you guys all enjoyed it. The fight goes on. It's kind of weird, right? Hansel's kind of working him, but he's not really going for broke on the kid. Eric hits him with a hard punch in the 4th round. Stands him up, right? Stands him up. And Hansel sort of lights up and then runs him down